Hey, welcome to a caffeinated conversation with me. I'm Dave, and today I wanted to take time and welcome you into my office here in Cape Town, South Africa, the home of the MYeBook publishing space. Now, if you found this video, and I'm hoping I've done a good enough job with the title and maybe a decent thumbnail, this conversation is going to be quite specific. The reason you and I are chatting today is that you've got a book and you don't want people knowing you've got a book. So the topic is pen names. Basically, you've written a book and for whatever reason, you don't want it to be associated or linked with the real world you. Maybe you've got a professional job and what you've written is a little bit naughty. But either way, you're at my office. I welcome you in and I share a cup of coffee with you. This is our caffeinated conversations. And yeah, let's chat. Let's chat about what writing under a pen name can mean for an author. Now again, I'm shooting off the cuff here based on my experience publishing, 479 authors to date over the past sort of 12 plus years. And so this happens. This happens where an author knocks on our door and says, I need help, but no one can know that it's me. So what are the important things to know? So this conversation could actually end pretty quickly because what I can tell you very early into this conversation is that it is possible that someone who is determined enough would be able to figure out, who's written this book. So this is very similar to a piracy sort of question, like, is what format of book is ebook or is paperback or print on demand? What format is the most or the hardest for people to make copies of? My answer to you, if you were sitting here with me, would be, well, anyone who's determined enough is going to be able to make a copy of your book. So there's no bulletproof or surefire way of not being found out. I think the only way is if you don't, in fact, ever write the book. And I think that is absolutely disgusting. I think that's horrible. I think if you've got a book in you, it deserves to get out there. So that's probably the shortest conversation we could have. If someone says to me, is it guaranteed that no one will ever know that I wrote this book? I can tell you pretty quickly, no. I think someone who's got the book, someone who can put two and two together, someone who's determined enough can and possibly could eventually put two and two together. Now, that doesn't mean you and I can't make it as difficult as possible for someone to put this two and two together. So here are a couple ideas and a couple thoughts when it comes to writing under a pen name. Now, why you've written under a pen name, that's going to be unique to you. However, I have noticed that, sometimes I've had authors who've written very naughty, very risque content. For example, you might be in a straight relationship, but you've written a gay romance. You might be at a professional sort of environment, but you've written something very saucy. Something that you just don't want people to know about. You might be a very shy or introverted individual. Yet what happens in the bedroom is completely opposite. I think all the introverts out there are like, yeah, that's me. But okay. So bottom line is there's many different reasons to write under a pen name, some more innocent than others. Again, one of the common ones is I've written something that might be completely unrelated to what I do for a day job. I don't want people, for whatever reason, knowing about it. Again, maybe it's naughty. And I don't want people to know that I've got the side to me. So I've answered the question of, is it possible that no one ever finds out? No one should promise that to you. And obviously there are a couple ways to skin the publishing cat. And I'm really sorry, that was a terrible analogy if you're a cat lover out there. My cat at home would not appreciate that. But there are a couple different ways to get published. You could publish traditionally. You could publish self-publish, which is obviously what we here at MYeBook do. We help authors through a self-publishing process where we do the hard work for you. We do the technical work for you, but the bottom line is your book is out there and is published in your control, which is, I think, almost always the most important part. But let's look at a couple different ways where writing under a pen name is going to affect you. The first thing is most books will require an ISBN number. So, for example, if your book is any kind of commercial intent to it, if you want to have this book in a bookshop, if you want to sell it online, there is a very strong chance you need to get an ISBN number. Now, how do you get an ISBN number? Well, here in sunny, it's sunny, South Africa, we have a national library that issues these numbers. And the national library who gets these ISBN numbers for you says, okay, we'll give you one. Who are you? Tell us about you. Tell us where you live. And yes, you're going to have to give your name, your details to this company. They should, I say company, it's more of a governmental organization. I don't know if that puts your mind at ease or it makes you more worried depending on which country you live in, but they will ask you, who's written this book? Yes, it's a pen name, but who was the actual author? Tell us. And there's, there should be no way that they leak this information. But again, especially depending on your government, they have holes. So you can never really, tell that for sure. When it comes to the book design process, so obviously your book is in its simplest form. It has the ingredients of a cover design and hopefully an edited manuscript. Now, when it comes to writing under a pen name, your pen name is on the cover. Your pen name appears on the copyright page of your book. So no one who picks up the book should be smelling your real identity. If you were Batman, nobody should know. So the way the book is put together and designed should not have any links back to you as the original author. I mean, obviously, there are breadcrumbs you could leave depending on the marketing that you're doing, because some authors say, well, I want this book to be found. I don't want to be associated with it, but I want the book to be found and read. It's a very tight, what word am I looking for? It's a very tight tightrope to walk on where, yes, I want people to find the book and I want people to talk about the book, but I don't want them to know it's me. And again, this does tie back to what your reason is, because if your reason is more innocent, then you probably don't mind if someone eventually puts two and two together, which means it's easier to put a little bit more effort and publicize the book itself, where if your reason is a little bit more private, let's say that, then you probably don't want to have a book launch. You probably don't want to pay for a publicist, to get this book featured, because how would you appear on radio and talk about your book if you don't want people to know that it's you talking about your book? So as you can gather, firstly, I hope this is all making sense. And if need be, take a break, have a sip of the coffee. Give me a second. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so as you can gather, marketing a book that's written under a pen name is super tricky. It's one of the first things, if you were sitting with me, one of the first things I would tell you is I would love to help you. And there's a few different ways I can help you make sure no one finds out that you've written this book. However, if there is a time when you come back to me and you say, I want to market this book, just know our lives are going to be made very difficult, because publicizing whilst trying to remain private, it's kind of going against each other, as you can maybe guess. How the book is put together does not change too much. So a stunning and captivating cover obviously will feature your pen name. The copyright page, it has information about the author, maybe a publisher, maybe a website. It does not have to have any personally identifiable information. So the book construction process that we can guide you through, and many other publishers can guide you through, to be fair, will not change too much for those of you who want to remain hidden. Now, the tricky part comes if you choose to self-publish this book and you want to sell this book in a retailer like Amazon or one of the other major retailers. You have to create an account. So if you create an account and you want to publish with Amazon, you will create an account on kdp.amazon.com. And when you create this account, very similar to what I touched on with the ISBN application, depending on where you live, Amazon's going to say, who are you? Tell us who you really, really are. And unfortunately, if you're Batman, this is a point where you have to be like, yo, I'm Bruce Wayne. And so just know that when you create an account with Amazon, again, you would do this at kdp.amazon.com. You will have to say, I am Bruce Wayne, and this is where I live, and here's my ID possibly, here's my banking information, because Amazon wants to know legally who you are. I suppose it's obvious. It's not really too hard to understand why. If they're paying you money, they're going to want to know who you are. So this might be an ID. This might be your personal details. It will be banking information. The banking information with Amazon specifically needs to be linked to your physical address. So the account holder name of your bank needs to be the same holder name as you set up your Amazon account with. Otherwise, generally, there's payment problems. So when you create your account, you will be using your real name. When we publish your book, we will publish it under the pen name. Does that mean the reader knows the difference? No. The reader buying off Amazon will not know that Bruce Wayne published his memoirs as Batman. That's actually a really cool idea, I think. So yeah, when you create your account, just know you will need to give your real life information. However, that can and should be kept very separate from someone who buys your book off Amazon, as an example. So I create the account, I load my banking information, I take the tax interview, which also, again, is very personal information and real-world information. However, when I do the actual listing, the metadata, which is information about your book that's not in your book, the metadata is what the reader sees. The reader sees the book is priced at $10. The reader sees it's written by Batman, I suppose. They won't see that Bruce Wayne was behind the book. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that the platforms don't make it obvious at all. If I buy your book and you've written the book under a pen name, the account's being created under your real name, but the author information that we fed into Amazon is your made-up pseudonym or your pen name. The reader should not know the difference. So I hope this conversation helped you. I hope it helped put your mind at ease that you can carry on writing that that naughty stuff. You can carry on writing that romance, paranormal, erotica book you were. And there is a 99.9% chance that no one will ever put two and two together. Not impossible, but again, I think the biggest shame is if you got something inside you that needs to come out, you've got a creative energy, you've got a book, you've got a story. It's a shame if it didn't get out. You know, it's a shame if it didn't get out there and didn't get published. And that to me is the real crime. You know, that to me is the real shame. So I hope this conversation helped put your mind at ease. I think most publishers should be, assuming you're choosing the right publishers, they should be able to advise you and put your mind at ease here that there are certain times you're going to have to show your real name, but when it comes to where you interface with the real world, i.e. setting up your account on Amazon or a similar retailer, that it separates your real world details from your pseudonym, your author name and profile. Again, just be safe, partner with the right sorts of people, have these sorts of conversations. And yeah, I think just addressing this issue again is if you're writing under a pen name, depending on your reason, as always, just know that it might make life harder when it comes to trying to market this book, because a lot of marketing efforts need you, the author, to be behind a mic, to be behind a computer, to have a website, to announce on your LinkedIn profile that you've got a book out there. And as soon as you pull those options away, it does make things a lot harder. And generally, I think the only easy option I can think of for marketing is, for example, paying Amazon to promote your book within the Amazon ecosystem. So Amazon AdWords, I call it. But essentially, that's one of the few easy options an author has when marketing under a pen name or trying to market the book under a pen name is Amazon AdWords, where you swipe your credit card, you pay Amazon to feature your book more prominently in their ecosystem. So again, I hope the conversation helped you. My name has been Dave. This has been a caffeinated conversation with the real person. I think it's important that I say that because everything is going to AI and, well, I'm not an AI yet. I hope it helped you, and if it did, please let me know.